is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 290. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also follow us on, or you can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. This was, the reason I'm out of breath is because I realized during the intro that my Ethernet cord was not plugged in. So I sprinted to go get it, plugged it in, and now we're good. But we're here for another post-game podcast, our first away day post-game podcast. UCF opens up Big 12 play with a 34-20 loss at Kansas State. And right off the bat again, Christian's voice is gone. And not because he's yelling at his TV. He's just been having some voice problems. So how you doing?
I'm not sure. I'm going to try to do the podcast, guys. I must sound awful.
You don't sound good, but your voice, we can understand you.
I've been trying to get my voice working all day, and we're going to do what we can to get it going throughout this podcast. But maybe we'll let Bailey give more of his takes than mine. But I'm not even sick. I don't know what's happening. Mm-hmm. I just can't really talk. But kind of like how UCF can't really do anything on offense. That's sort of the theme here. But yeah, Bailey, what do you think?
Weird game. They lose 34-20 early on. Obviously, the offense can't get anything moving at all. They really throughout most of the day they couldn't get anything moving at all. Then they had some random explosive plays that kind of made the score look better than it was. They had the 82-yard touchdown pass from Ja'Cory Brown to DJ Black because, again, this was early on in the game. Taven Jackson gets knocked out of the game, and it looked like UCF was going to have to finish the day without him. Then they come back after halftime. Well, let me rewind it. They lose Taven Jackson. They're behind 10-0. Then there's the 82-yard touchdown pass from Ja'Cory after he had already thrown a pick, and it's 10-7. You're like, hold on a second. What's going on here? Kansas State goes right down the field, scores, makes it 17-7 going into halftime. And it felt at that point like the second half was going to be a whole lot of nothing. Taven had his pads off, had his shoulder, had ice all over his shoulder, looked pretty distraught as he was going to the locker room early on in the game. And then coming out of halftime, there's another Ja'Cory drive and then second UCF offensive drive when they were down 24-7 by that point. And back comes Taven Jackson, shoulder pads on and everything, good to go. And honestly, credit to him for toughing it out and playing decently well at times. But yeah, I mean, it's just the sporadic nature of the offense was too much to overcome.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I've been a little surprised to some degree by the Twitter reaction because, listen, we all got a little excited this week. I think we were all caught up on that. UCF was 3-0. They beat the hell out of UNC. We're thinking to ourselves, okay, maybe this season can be something different than we thought. And I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of anger on Twitter, and I get it. It's never, ever fun to watch your team lose. And in a weird way, this is kind of like uncharted territory because this is arguably the first time ever that the fan base has reason to be mad at Scott Frost. Even in 2016, I can only remember it was the Houston game and the Cure Bowl a little bit. This is pretty new territory for fans to have Scott Frost leading their team to something they didn't want to happen. But listen, the stuff we talked about this week, for as good as things looked against UNC, we talked about penalties. We talked about run blocking and offensive line issues. Those both reared their heads at really critical times. And that was kind of the game. I mean, I think to that critical drive late in the game where UCF is somehow still in it, Taven Jackson is somehow still in the field and they're driving, and it was penalties. It was 2 delay of games, which is crazy to me. And both of those, I want to say I'm really impressed with Taven today, just from the sense of I cannot recall a time I saw a quarterback out of jersey, arm all wrapped up, crying as he leaves the field, and he somehow comes back in the game and plays decent after coming back in. But I want to say that right before I say a negative thing. That being said, both delay of games, I don't think he had a clue that the clock was winding down, and that's just kind of unacceptable in that situation. There was a bad holding call on that one too, or not a bad call, but a bad hold on UCF. It's the problems we talked about, they're happening, and it's going to put a cap on what this team can do. That just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, again, his toughness to come back in that game was something I had not really seen before, especially like you mentioned, with his uniform off, his shoulder pads off. He had just the hood, like the pregame hoodie back on with the ice on. Like I was like, oh, he's done for the day, and rightfully so.
For months, I thought it was like a broken collarbone or something.
Yeah, but yeah, the awareness on those, it was weird. One of them, it seemed like he was blaming the play clock, where I don't know if like they didn't reset. I don't know. That one was weird. And then there was also the earlier in the game, pointing back to his awareness, the third down scramble where he had it probably by a good 2 or 3 more yards, but he decided to slide. Right. I mean, good for him for sliding, but he slid down a yard short. UCF goes for it on 4th, takes him off the field. Jakari fumbles, and that stops them from getting potential points and getting back in the game at that point. So I don't know. They were lucky. It kind of oddly did feel a little bit like the game in Manhattan 2 years ago, where the score was like oddly respectable, only not because UCF's offense was consistent, but because they were randomly hitting on some random big plays. And it was nice to see some explosiveness, especially out of the run game. Like Jaden got the long touchdown run. Miles had a couple long runs. It's just the play to play and drive to drive inconsistencies that will hold this offense and this team back. And like you said, like I don't know. I don't feel like I know everyone's like, oh, Kansas State's bad. All week I was just, I mean, I know I picked UCF to win by like 4, but it never felt like this was a game UCF was like supposed to go in and just win.
I don't think at any point this offseason we even remotely discussed this game as a possible win. I also put up a really self-serving comment earlier left by Brian Peterson. Christian's no voice toughness to go live, greater than Taven's toughness to come back into the game. Thank you, Brian. I do it for you guys. I do it for the love of the game, because I'm sure that after you watch your team lose, what you want to hear is an adult struggle to speak. So here I am. But yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to toe the line of is I understand it's frustrating, and I think that this game is going to be helpful in a lot of ways, because I think it's clarified what some of the issues are for UCF. We thought some things were issues. Now we know a little more what the issues are. But in the grand scheme of this season being a year 0 where the goal is just try to go to a bowl in this kind of throwaway year where they threw a roster together, this results whatever. They didn't go out there and get beat the hell off the field or play horribly. The defense had a good day. Honestly, the points they allowed, it's too bad it got up to 34, because that's really not fair to the effort the defense played with. Really, really strong across the board. It's just when you're on the field over and over again, some mistakes are going to happen. Some slip-ups are going to happen. I mean, it was really a sign of progress for the UCF football program to have a defense and a defensive line that was going toe-to-toe with not just a Big 12 team, but one that's known for its physicality and known for its toughness. The issue, like we projected all offseason and like we kind of saw already, is that the offense just isn't there. And the number one issue is the offensive line. There are a lot of problems on the offensive line. And I know that your tendency might be to get pissed at the staff or go, why? They should have game planned differently. Why don't they fix these issues? They lost 3 starters to the portal when Gus left. They lost Adrian Medley, Caden Kittler, and Marcellus Marshall. Coaches and GMs and assistant coaches all agree that the hardest position to replace via the portal is offensive line. So when UCF had to build a line from scratch, they basically had Rubel and had to go in the portal try to get the tap. And we knew that wasn't going to come together. And it's just, there's going to be games where that hurts them. I still don't think a bowl is even remotely off the table. Nothing I saw today makes me think they can't win some games. It's on the road, tough place to play on the road. The offense was inconsistent. There will be games where it clicks. We saw it click against North Carolina. It could click next week against Kansas. So it's just, it is what it is. It sucks to lose, but I feel like, especially for a rebuilding year, guys, we got to get out of the sky is falling mentality for every game. It's just, it's not 2017 and 2018. I don't know. We're coming up on like a decade and we're still doing it. It is what it is. They didn't win. They were playing a team that was better than them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that they figured out some things. Kansas State figured out some things offensively today. They were able to get the ball moving on the ground. They ran for 266 yards. Dylan Edwards was a huge return for them. I mean, the lack of holding penalties was glaring, but it's not why UCF lost. It was just one of those frustrating things in the moment to just be like, are we ever going to see a flag fly? But no, I mean, I'm in 2 minds about it, because I was frustrated at points, because coming into this, even though I didn't really expect them to win, it felt winnable, just given the vibes that Kansas State was in. And I think even on the first drive when Kansas State goes with a tight end pass out of nowhere, and it gets picked off by Damari Henderson, if somehow UCF finds something together, puts together on offense and goes down the field and scores there, I think we're talking about a different game. But right from the jump, you could tell the offense could not really get anything going. And honestly, this was a team that was down 31-10. And that's what I kind of started feeling like toward the end of the game, was that they didn't let up. And I don't want it to like take moral victories or anything like that. I don't want it to sound like that. But it's like, this is a team that's, again, 60, 65, 70 new players. And it is a year zero. It's a rebuilding type of year. You're going to have these up and down kind of moments throughout this season. But for them to go down 31-10 and then honestly get within, like, if it wasn't for those delayed games, like they were threatening to make it a one-score game with plenty of time left.
That drive, I'm watching them drive down the field and I'm like, are they actually, like, I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I think they might make it a one-score game. And honestly, they were moving the ball. It was just the penalties. I mean, they were right there. And I think another thing, I'm seeing like 3 things in the comments about people want to talk about the holds. You kind of did just there. I don't know. I just
don't much time on it.
I don't want to be the pot. Like, I get it. That was crazy. Like, they're like, listen, I'm a big believer in there's holding every single time there's a snap, but there were some pretty crazy ones. I just don't know if I want to be the podcast that's like, the refs cost UCF the game, because it's hard to say that when the O-line was like that, but I get it. It's super frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably be a lot more alarm bells in my head of where things are at for this season if they'd gone out there and just got curb stomped on both sides of the ball, or it was just really uncompetitive. And honestly, there was a moment there where I thought that might be where we're heading, but we're 4 games in. The defense is good. I think it's one of the better defenses in the conference, and it's going to keep them in some games. I think you can argue it kept them in this game when the offense really didn't give them much reason to still be in it. And there will be games where the offense clicks. There will be games where the offense matches up better against who they're playing, and they'll get some wins. I think it was cool. I enjoyed, and I think we all enjoyed to some degree, that for 6 days we got to like pretend that UCF could maybe like be like 9 wins or way ahead of schedule and things are great. And yeah, we're back down to earth. It was a reminder to not get too high, but I'm not freaked out about this. I think all the on-field stuff aside, not to completely change the topic away from on-field things on this post-game podcast, but one thing that I'm interested in is we've talked about Frost being the culture champion. That's his thing, is the number one thing he offers you as a head coach is he builds a strong culture that players want to be a part of, that players buy in on. We've heard nothing but positive things through spring, through summer, through fall camp, through this season, about how strong the culture is, how much players care about each other. You've seen it on the sidelines. You've seen it on social media. The culture is there. Always easy to have a strong culture when you have not faced adversity. The number one thing I'm curious about and looking for is this team of mercenaries, as Scott Frost himself has called them. Do they stay together? Does that culture stay strong? Do they rally now that they're getting hit with some losses? Or does it spiral into a 5-game losing streak like it did with Gus 2 separate times?
I think that's the key going forward. And I mean, that's obvious, I guess. But that's what I kind of got away from my original point, is that, yes, I did think, okay, this was potentially a winnable game coming into it, given the vibes of everything. If I'm looking at it bigger picture, this loss doesn't change anything about the way I feel about this season or the goals in front of UCF. I never thought UCF was going to contend for the Big 12 championship. I didn't think this was an 8 or 9 win team. I think this was going to be a more up and down season. The way we've talked about compared it to 2016 a million times, but it feels a little bit like that. Like, you're going to see a game like this where it's like, all right, like it was just some sloppiness penalty wise, allowing some explosive plays on defense, not getting it together fully on offense. And it costs you the game. In a game where you end up losing by 14, but I mean, you turn the ball over 3 times, and that's really, when you look at the difference in stats after this game, I was actually kind of surprised, because the big story of the game early on was how overwhelmingly Kansas State was seemingly dominating the game, but it was like a 6-0 game, or no, it was a 3-0 game turned into a 10-0 game. By the end of it, thanks to the second half, UCF, like, their rushing yards right on par. They got more for, like, so it just, I don't know. They ended up in the game when I didn't expect them to be in it. And it's one of those where I think they can learn a lot from this game, especially as an offense. And then you learn from it, you wipe the slate clean, and you come back and you're back home next week. Just don't let it snowball. And I think you're still going to find yourself in a spot where you've got some winnable games on the schedule, and you've got a chance to get yourself to a bowl game, which, following a 4-8 season, following an off season where you hire a coach after signing day, and you bring in 70 new players, if you get to a bowl game this year, like, that's I mean, that's what we've talked about all along, and I still think that's firmly on the table, and I almost feel like that's more likely than I did, 4 weeks ago.
I agree. How likely I thought a bowl was going into the season, particularly at a point in the season when they were losing to Jacksonville State. I feel far better now, still even with this loss. I gotta say really quickly, Brian Peterson says need some analysis on Nixon jumping Miles as RB1. Feels like it's time. Miles Montgomery had 119 yards on 11.9 yards per carry today. I know one big run helped him there. I think it's more they're both good than one jumping the other. But yeah, I'm with everything you said. I don't know. I'm just not. I think people are going to chill. I think I totally understand as a fan. It's not fun to watch your team lose. And there's really not like any context going into a game or situation that just makes you go, yeah, no, I'm cool with this. This doesn't bother me watching my team fail, but it's fine. They got stuff to build on. They got winnable games on the schedule. Oh, did Kansas, what happened in that?
They lost.
Kansas lost.
I just looked at it. So Cincinnati
UCF's
scored.
playing next week, a bum Kansas team that can't even beat the Cincinnati Bearcats. Guaranteed win at the bounce house. What are you guys even worried about?
Yeah, so Kansas scored what I think I texted. It was like a minute and too much time left, basically. They scored to make it 34-30 with about a minute and a half left. And then they went right down the field. Cincinnati went right down the field and scored with 29 seconds left to win the game.
See, you guys are feeling bad, and we're making you feel better by telling you about Cincinnati winning a game. So you're fine. No big deal. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, that is interesting for Kansas that they lost that one. But I do think that, because part of it too that I feel like we're not talking about enough is it's like, yeah, it was on the road too. Manhattan is a tough place to play. I think the recipe for UCF this season, which we saw against UNC, and that really fun environment, and I'm willing to bet they're going to get another good crowd for a 7:30 kick against Kansas. That's another exciting game. Is just defend your home stadium and you'll get to a bowl. That's more or less the situation you're in. You don't have to go and win in all these tough Big 12 road environments to get it done this year. So I don't know. I'm not freaked out. Oh, there is one thing I'm genuinely freaked out about, and I wonder if we can talk about it a little bit. And you can tell me if I'm overreacting. I don't know if I want to see Jakari anymore. After spending 2 podcasts talking about what a weapon he is for them and what an athlete he is, am I overreacting to like 7 bad moments, or is there something there?
I don't know. Get back to me after the emergency Jakari FC meeting that's being called tonight by JP Gilbert.
Tough day for the Jakari FC crowd, by the way. Like cataclysmically tough day.
I don't know, man. Like I think some bad moments that I can't defend, but I'm not ready to say banish him from the playbook yet, because I think there's value to what he does. Sure. I think there is.
I think Kansas State thought there was some value in what he does today.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's frustrating. It was funny because we were texting a little bit throughout the game, and Jakari's in there, and we're like, he's going to have to throw the ball at some point. The first time he throws the ball, he throws a bad pick.
Really bad pick.
Which led right to a short field and a touchdown. So,
and I have to say,
it's not great.
Elephant in the room had an 81-yard or 82-yard touchdown pass as well. Was not a good ball. Like, it was a really underthrown ball, and DJ Black it was some bad defense.
My spin zone is that he threw it where the defender couldn't get it because it was such a bad ball.
I'm sure that's what he was thinking when he released the ball too.
He might have.
I will say, but for all the discussion of Jakari and Taven Stuffness, let's not forget for how we are right now. There's a situation where we would have had no optimism. Let's not forget Taven had the injury and it looked really bad. Like, I'm talking like I think we've seen the last of Taven as a Knight type bad. Jakari, his arm just goes limp on the last play of the second half. At halftime, I'm sitting here going, are they down to Cam Fancher and Davie Belfort for the foreseeable future? So, like, there's a worse scenario out there for quarterback than where we're at right now.
I'm curious about what Taven's injury is and whether it's something that we'll have to monitor next week going into Kansas, because whatever they might have gotten in his system at halftime and allowed him to come back in this game, you imagine, if it was a pretty bad injury, it's going to wear off, and that thing's probably going to be pretty sore. I still don't really know what it was. It looked like a shoulder. He had ice on a shoulder. So unless it was, I don't know. One thing that I think that I'm kind of just thinking about this now, but like maybe it was a separated shoulder situation where they get in the locker room and they pop it back in. And then at that point it's pain management. So yeah, again, pain management, he could manage it for the second half, but now that thing's going to be hurting on the flight back. So
that weirdly makes it even more crazy because Dylan Wade just missed this game for having a separated shoulder a week ago. And Taven was like 10 minutes later, they're like, get out there, man. I mean,
put your pads back
wonder
on.
totally spitballing here. Let me go ahead and do what you're meant to do as a podcaster and pretend to be a doctor. But I do wonder if it could have been something like, was it like a misdiagnosis? Not a misdiagnosis, but like on the field in that moment where they're like, oh, this is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets back in the locker room, they look at it some more and are like, oh no, wait, we thought you broke something you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been something like that.
Or even a point where, oh, it could be this. Let's go get some
Right.
imaging done. Let's go get this looked at.
Because when he's walking off the field, which, by the way, FS1 crew and maybe college football in general, can we stop with the intense close-ups of a player's face when they've just suffered an injury and are like clearly emotional? Like, I understand it's an entertainment product, but like, I don't need to be like part of that moment. Like, that can just belong to that player and not be a nationwide thing. But all that to be said, in that moment that they showed, he looked devastated. He looked like a guy who thought his season was over. He was going to be out for months. Then he's back on the field 20 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm curious to kind of see and follow that, how that's going to be. But I started to laugh a little bit because you were saying, if you just defend your home field, you're going to get to a bowl. I was looking, and then again, this is the Big 12 and anything happens, and this is just a chaos league. But if they can find a way to beat Kansas at home next weekend, you got to feel pretty good about their chances to go undefeated at home.
I think so. West Virginia, Houston, Oklahoma State.
I mean, the toughest game remaining would be Houston. But yeah, WVU, Houston, Oklahoma State after that. But even at that point, you don't have to go undefeated at home to make a bowl. If you win next week, you're 4-1, and you got to win 2 out of your next 3 home games.
You just got to rack up the wins now because it's the end of the schedule. It's the at Texas Tech, the at Baylor, at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want to be needing one of those to get to a bowl. Other than that, I think you're fine. JP Gilbert says that the Jakari FC emergency meeting is currently going on.
It started without me.
Yeah, I don't really want to like take a little bit of a victory lap, but I feel like all offseason has been, our text conversation has been you saying, man, I think they should start Jakari, and me going, why? And you going, I don't know. I like his highlights.
He's fun, except not all the time.
I have to say really quickly, Matt J said, do we really have the 201st worst strength of schedule? They mentioned that on the broadcast. I didn't hear that, but
I don't know.
There are 136, 35 FBS teams. So that'd be wild.
That'd be hard. That'd be hard to do.
I could actually see if you're, because it's like everyone's only played 3 games. So like if some FCS teams have like done their bye games, like Alabama or wherever, maybe. But
yeah,
I don't know.
It's one of those where halfway through it, you're not even halfway through. I think at 31-10, I was like, oh, this is looking dire, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I should kind of reframe the way I'm looking at everything, even though I hadn't changed much to begin with. But I don't know, the way they were kind of able to get back in it, we saw some explosive plays. I thought there was a little bit more to kind of latch onto and build on, down the stretch in that game. It's just the thing that's going to frustrate you the most, I think, is one, the turnovers, but also just the penalties still in costly moments. We saw another offsides on, I believe it was, I want to say it was Sincere Edwards. But again, it was another offsides on the defense. I think it was on a 3rd down. Like, it's just these small little things. It's so frustrating.
What I'm so confused by is there have been like 6 offside penalties like that for UCF this season, and they're all the exact same thing. Like the exact same thing. Just like someone coming off the edge moves up too much and just stays there. Like, it's clear. Like, I'm just like Alex Grinch, I'm close to sending you the apology because like the defense has been really good, but like fix that and then you'll get the apology. Let me ask you a question, unless you have something else pressing to say.
I don't really know where to go from here, so I'm glad you're going to ask me a question.
Okay, cool. That's always, your team's doing well when the podcast is like, I don't know where to go from here. Like, let's hope that's not what Scott Frost says in his presser, but that's actually kind of where I'm taking this, so that's good. A week from now, well, a little later than a week from now because it's 3:53. A week from now, we're going to get on a postgame podcast and we're going to talk about the Kansas game. If we're talking about a loss, how much of what you're feeling right now has changed?
I think it depends on how they lose. Like if it's a
Say
loss,
they lose similarly to this, kind of a similar game.
I don't know that I'll feel that different. I'll start to be worried a little bit. Like that, then Cincinnati becomes like a must-win before I start to go crazy. Because, like, I know Kansas lost to Cincinnati today, but I still think Kansas is a solid team. I don't think it's a given that they come in here and UCF beats them. So, like, if they lose a similar style of game, I don't know. I think the thing that I would probably feel the most, where I would change my mind the most, is beginning to question their ability to fix easy mistakes, seemingly easy mistakes to fix.
Okay, but that being said, what counts as an easy mistake? Because like full disclosure, guys, sorry to break it to you, I'm not expecting the offensive line or the run.
Oh no, I'm talking about the penalty.
Better.
I'm talking
that
about
just is what it is.
Jumping offside on third down. I'm talking about
Taven Jackson not knowing. Andrew Jericho just chimes in with that. Taven Jackson not knowing where the play clock's at 2 times.
Because where the play clock's at, he did the slide down before the first down again. He's done that before this season. It might have been last week. I don't remember for sure when. He's done that multiple times now where he slid down before he got the first down. Which I don't know. I feel in two minds about that because it's like I don't want to get mad at a quarterback for being smart about sliding and not putting themselves in harm's way.
It's 2 times now, man. It's 2 times in 2 games.
It's the awareness because he had more room. He had more room before he was going to get hit. It takes a quick glance, corner of your eye, where's the marker, get down. Or even, I don't know, I guess you probably don't want to lead with your head. That's not smart football. But
I'm with you. I'm not like, hey, Taven, you should have dove forward. But I do think that he had, and if I'm misspeaking, I apologize because I haven't watched the replay, but he had plenty of space in front of him. Like it was not like he had to get down there. And it's just like you said, it's a little awareness things. He's been better than I anticipated. He throws a decent ball, especially in short range and mid-range situations. He can manage the game pretty well. It is just the awareness stuff, and it's kind of a problem. Papa Z says, talk about kicking the field goal. They kicked several. Which one are you talking about?
2, right?
Yes.
Well, one, I want to say shout out. I didn't know Noe Ruelas had a 53-yarder in him.
He did.
I don't think he did either because that was a new career high. I think
it's another positive. Feel good about Noe Ruelas.
Yeah, I think the one that he's referring to is the 40-yarder there to make it 30. Make a what was it? Make a 14-point game into an 11-point game. I don't know. Yeah. Like after the delay of game, it's 4th and 15 or 4th and 14.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it's frustrating, but like I think the penalties handcuff them. I think if they don't have that penalty, obviously they were going to go for it. And I was torn on it because I am watching it and I'm like, that field goal gets you nothing. But I'm just like, at the same time, you're not converting this. Like that is such a low percentage situation. So I just, that to me is less a storyline of like coach decision-making and more just an example of how penalties injured them in a situation where they actually could have gotten back in the game. I truly think without penalties, I think they score on that drive and suddenly it's a 1-score game. Maybe Kansas State still scores, but anything can happen at that point.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, if they don't have those penalties and they score a touchdown there, it's 31-24 with like 10 minutes left. And UCF got the ball back. Like their defense got, I think, 1 or 2 stops before Kansas State ended up adding that field goal. So like they would have been right back in it, which is that's the frustrating part.
So on coaching decisions, one Frosty, no pickles. That 4th down delay of game was brutal. We all saw it coming. Frost has got a call time out there. That was part of what I was getting frustrated with. Was both delay of games.
I don't know if that name is tickling me.
It's a good name. But yeah, we're going to start doing that. We're just going to rank your guys' names as you leave comments. So far, no one Frosty, no pickles takes it. Congratulations on your name, sir. But yeah, I don't know. I get wanting to save your timeouts because you know it's going to be a close game, but it happening twice and watching the coaching staff knows. You see them on the sideline reacting like kind of wanted to see a timeout taken there, especially on the second one.
I said that too, and I think in my I tweeted that he needs to have more awareness. 1, and I said 2. I'm also not sure. Like one of those times, I would imagine Frost probably should have saved him with a timeout. And then again, that's a learning moment where you say, or a teaching moment where you say, like, I really didn't want to call that timeout, like kind of had to. You got to be more aware about the clock. But I had people replying like, well, he wants him for the end of the game, and it's like, well, that did a lot of good.
But that was a critical, like that took you from a potential a situation where you might be able to make it a 1-score game and pushes you into field. That's what I'm saying. If it's a situation where they have the offense out there and because of the penalty, they're putting special teams out, that's a situation where the timeout's worth it. If you're going to have to change what personnel you have on the field, like it was a game-changing moment. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing too, I do want to say is like, it was also, they were sitting him out there to go for that on a 4th and 9. It's like, it was already no chances of not, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is
it a situation where the coach is like, Frost was already not totally sure if he made the right call there, so he sees the delay of game and is like, making the decision for me. I don't know. As much as the
delay of game hurts you in that situation, I was trying to think back, and I'm like, yeah, 4th and 9 is still pretty tough to convert right now, especially down there when everything's condensed. But I don't know. It's just little things like, and I think it's kind of the stuff that you would expect to see from a team playing its first road game of the season with as many new pieces as this. I don't think this is a veteran team. Like, if this was a veteran team making these mistakes, and I'm already frustrated enough as it is with just the mistakes as they are, because we've seen them already in the weeks 1, 2, and week 4 against UNC. But if this was a veteran team, it would be a lot worse. Like, it's the fact that these guys, like, they've done a good job building culture. They've done a good job of trying to get these guys together. But, you know, there's nothing that really simulates what they're going through on the road for the first time. So.
And like I said, there was a moment where almost got out of hand, but they didn't get destroyed. They stayed competitive. The defense flat out had a good day. The offense just couldn't get consistent. There will be times where it won't be that way. It is what it is. They don't have the most talented team in the Big 12. This is a roster that they did what they could with, and we're going to see what they can do with it. But start with Kansas. Like I said, I think that fan interest is so critical. And that's like when we talk about building things on the field, building off the field matters a lot too. Keeping your fans engaged matters a lot too. And fans just had, especially casual fans who like maybe aren't living and dying like everyone who's here on this podcast right now. They live for having fun of, oh, I went to that game and that was a good time. I'll go back to another one. So just it's important for that to just keep building that and have a good game against Kansas. Don't do the 23-24. Don't do the losing streak. Don't do just a month without wins. That's where things become a problem. And particularly on a team like this where everybody's new and a lot of guys are not going to be back next year, that's where it's easy to check out. So just avoid that. Pick yourself up. Get back quickly. You're fine.
I think I told you this offseason, my 2 biggest goals for this season were get to a bowl game and avoid that 4 or 5 game losing streak.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I do get, if they lose next weekend, I do get a little worried, like, because they're going on the road again. And Cincinnati they've played pretty decently well throughout the season so far, and that's not going to be an easy game by any means. So
Cincinnati might not be bad. Now they've beaten Kansas. Yeah. They barely lost to Nebraska.
If you lose that game, that's already 3 straight losses, and I'm already kind of getting like, oh, this is not. And then I don't know. The more they start to pile up, each game becomes more and more of a must-win, so that we don't repeat the mid-season slump that we have had every year for, I guess, only been 2 years, but it feels like longer.
Well, it's like that's a long time. Like you have to go back to 2022 to find when you see
win a game in October. That's what next week we're back in October. You got to win a game in October for the first time since, was it 2022?
My dad, Roger Simmons, who's in Italy currently, which is why I'm here at their house watching their dogs. By the way, drinking out of a mug, I grabbed it out of the cabinet. Why would I be drinking tea? You wonder if you're listening to me talk. Not going to show it because I don't need it to get clipped. This is a Gator mug and didn't notice until I made my tea. So there's a big old Gator logo on the other side of this, and we're going to keep that away. Dad and now Brian Peterson. Do we want to do uniforms? I feel like people are less
do whatever you want
when they've lost. Okay, you guys can leave. You have free will. You don't want to hear it. Get out. Gold. I think this is of the 3. So UCF started wearing gold, white, black regularly. Well, regularly they've worn it off and on, but in the uniform set that came in 2016, they've worn it pretty sparingly. It was UConn in 16, SMU in 17. I don't think they wore it in 18 because they wore gold, white, anthracite at ECU. 19, they wore a nighthead version of it. Like it's been about once a year. This might be my favorite version of it. I didn't love it in the 2022 uniform, the 2022 to 2024 uniform set. I just felt like it didn't work quite as well. And they also did a couple weird things with it, like East Carolina in 2022 when they had the state of Florida on the sides. This just looks good. I think that the gold, white, black combo, part of what's made it look really good in this set is the drop shadow, because there's so much gold on the uniforms to play off the helmet, even though it's a different shade, and I'm letting that go. And the gold Polaris stars, I know, I just keep bringing it up. There's so much gold in this uniform. Brian won. There is when I'm looking at this uniform in the field, and it's not just helmets anymore. It's the big old drop shadow, and the numbers are so big now, so it's so preferable. It's the giant Polaris stars. It just works. I definitely think that there's less room in this uniform set for some of the super diverse decal things they do in older sets. Would be white decals this game, chrome decals, because there's so much gold on the jerseys and pants. I get that. I do. And maybe I'll feel differently once we get deeper into it. And if we feel like we're seeing less diversity, but these are super, it feels like they finally kind of merged having the combos and also being super on brand, because that had been a rising complaint from a chunk of the fan base of just where's the gold? Where's the gold? And gold is in your freaking face now, everywhere. And this new gold, the new shade of it on the jersey, since it's a little darker, a little deeper, it just it shows up so much better on TV than the lighter gold that would kind of bleed into the white of the uniforms.
I will say, you said Brian won because there's so much gold. I love Brian, but the worst thing about him is that he wouldn't consider that a win yet because they still don't have gold jerseys. Like the jerseys have to be gold before he considers it a win.
I think that has to be a bit.
But
I'm going to speak for Brian. That has to be a bit. Like some of the stuff we were talking with him last week about these freaking Charlotte uniforms, man, that are like if you're listening to this, like go look these things up. Just look up Charlotte 49ers gold uniforms. It looks like white uniforms that someone spilled lemonade on. And he's like, these are incredible. Like, it has to be a bit.
And then I think Uniswag like ranked him 10th or whatever. And he was like, C. And I was like, that just because they also have a bad opinion doesn't mean we have to change ours.
Terrible. No gold. Please, God, UCF, if the uniform designers are listening, please no gold jerseys ever. Like, do not do it. Please, God.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Brian says I'm literally wearing a gold jersey.
Of course you are. And you toughing out this podcast with your voice the way it is spared everyone from having to see Brian in a gold jersey because he was going to be the fill-in.
He was our standby.
Yeah. Thank you
Maybe
for being on standby though, Brian.
If I was impossible to listen to, I apologize. I did what I could.
I think you made it through. It wasn't any worse than how my voice sounded last week after the North Carolina game. And probably will sound next week after the Kansas game too.
Just don't react in the stadium. Just be stoic and calm.
I do scream more than I should.
Matt J really quickly says, I want to see shiny gold, not piss color jerseys. I'm going to say really quickly, I know I've said, if you listen to the podcast, I've said this before. If there was a way to make a gold jersey that wasn't bad, someone would have done it by now. There has never been a good gold jersey in college football. They're all bad. It's simply science has not uncovered a way to get it done. Maybe one day, centuries from now, the technology will exist. But for now, it is an impossibility.
This is when we got it. This is when we got to go though, because anyone who listened to our episode this week where we had my boss at Pewter Report, Scott Reynolds, on, he's a Kansas State guy. He just quote tweeted our tweet about going live, and he said, "Can I join?" And I don't want to do it right now. I will.
Are they, just out of curiosity, because I don't follow the Bucks coverage as close as you. Are the 66,000 followers of the Pewter Report account going to understand that, or are a bunch of Bucks fans right now like what?
A lot of them do because he uses that also as his personal account, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't remember if I told you because we just kind of came up with it yesterday, but we did basically a soft like mayor's bet where now one of the days at the Bucks facility this week, he's going to bring Kansas State gear that I'm going to have to then wear and take a picture in. So that'll be on.
That's fine. I like Kansas State. They don't bother me.
Yeah, he's telling me this, and I'm like, he said something, and I was like, I already know I look good in purple. I mean, I have my LSU stuff my whole life. So
when UCF, I still always clearly remember. I think we lost Bailey.
Purple's not a gaudy color to me.
One of us was lost there. I'm not sure who. If you're listening, you'll have to tell us which one of us cut out. When UCF joined the Big 12, like, depending on the fan base, like Oklahoma State fans were like, we're going to run the league. Utah fans were like, we don't belong here, but like, we're going to kill you anyway while we are here. You know, Cincinnati sucks and always has sucked. Kansas State fans were like, welcome everybody. Like, we're excited to have you. Like, I've always liked Kansas State fans. Hey, and Scott made the, Scott on our podcast made the UCF hype video.
Yeah. How about
shout out to Scott. Good for him.
That? Scott gets a soundbite in a UCF hype video before we do. Look at that. Pretty cool. I guess he deserves it now because Kansas State ended up winning the game. So it happens.
Does happen.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me. I think I might try a lozenge or something. I don't know.
I'm surprised you haven't yet.
I don't like the taste. It makes me want to throw up. So I feel like I'm running out of options.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to try something. But hopefully your voice is good for our next episode, which will be previewing the Kansas game next Saturday. Of course, we'll be back at the Bounce House next Saturday night, 7:30 kick against Kansas. Until our next episode, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us live, especially those of you who are joining us right now. And then anyone who's listening, appreciate you very much for listening to a post-game loss episode. But we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Bye, everybody.